Side say that the jury is back in the room, that Judge Merchan is back on the bench. And so we are looking now, it looks like we have some of the verdicts coming in. It is quickly coming in here. From inside, we are starting to hear that there are guilty. There are guilty verdicts. From our producer inside, we're hearing guilty on 1 through 5. 1 through 12, we have now 13, 14 guilty. 15 guilty. You may hear there are a split of folks here who have been protesting on both sides of this case. Some cheer, some boos, as we are now getting the information from the jury. We're up to 18 counts, 19 guilty. Remember, we have 34 here, 20 guilty. And again, these counts were very similar, what they were looking at. It was different occurrences, essentially, of the same crime, a misdemeanor that was elevated by being linked to a felony, to an underlying crime. We are now 24 counts in, all guilty from inside. This is what we are hearing from our producers, up to 26 guilty. Now, remember, each of these counts could maximum have 4 years in jail. President Trump would be considered a first-time offender. These are non-violent crimes. So it seems that it is unlikely the judge would sentence him to prison, but we are now up to 31 counts guilty out of 34. 32 guilty, also coming in from inside the courtroom. Our producer's now saying 33 and 34. They're saying guilty on all 34 charges.
Let me say this. My mind was not made up before, but it is definitely made up now. And I will definitely be voting for Donald Trump because the weaponization of the legal system, it is so blatant, and this corruption cannot stand. Whether I like Donald Trump or not, which I don't, I feel that it is essential that I vote for him because I must stand against the lawfare that was put on display by the Democratic Party, Alvin Bragg, all of these folks. And it's a shame because I'm a New Yorker. I live here in New York. And as a black man who lives in the United States and in New York, I know what it's like to have the legal system used against you, specifically targeting you. So, I mean, bro, at the end of the day, to expect us to just sit back and watch this happen and just ride with it like it's okay, like we're stupid and we don't see what's going on, that's crazy.
This clown show in New York, we should be paying a ton of attention to. Welcome to another installment of the Connecticut Gun Bench. Today's video is brought to you by P.A.N. Firearms, LLC. P.A.N. Firearms, your NRA certification of multifaceted gun training. You can reach us at 203-300-6343 or use our website at www.panfirearmsllc.com. As always, there'll be a link in the description box below. And if you like the channel, like content, and what I do here, you can support me with the link. Everything's appreciated. And to my Connecticut residents, plan on getting your Connecticut pistol permit? Please get your training done and the paperwork turned in before July 1st. After that, the training modification has been put in place, but it has a lot of gray areas and there seems to be some shenanigans going on with the state. If you have your permit, watch the expiration date. Don't let it expire. There's a link to the online renewal portal for the state of Connecticut for permits in the description box. Keep an eye on that. Let's talk about this. As of today is May 31st. The hush money trial, because there is no real crime, that's why they call it the hush money trial, has concluded, and a all Democrat, 90% of whom voted for Joe Biden, jury has found Trump guilty of all the charges that were laid before him. No surprise. I didn't expect anything less. But why am I talking about it? You could say, well, this is a political thing. Well, I hate to point this out to you, but the Second Amendment is also political. The Constitution is also political. Let's dig deep into this because there are a few nuances and other aspects that are going on that we are ignoring, not so much for the grander picture, but for our own detriment. We need to be paying attention to what's going on here. Remember, when these charges were first brought forward, the federal government said, there's nothing here, we're not touching it. Alvin Bragg's predecessor looked at it and said, I'm not touching this. Alvin Bragg brought these charges and he turned what charges should have been misdemeanors into felonies and presented them to a grand jury. And of course, Manhattan, the grand jury said, oh yeah, let's go forward with this. Now, the judge
overseeing the case against former President Donald Trump is now facing new scrutiny tonight after political donations that he made to Democrats came to light. These were very small contributions, but they do raise an important question of potential bias. What are you learning?
Yeah, Alex, that's right. And some allies of the former president are focusing in on that, wanting Judge Juan Merchan, who's overseeing this trial, to recuse himself from this case. So what we learned from federal election records is that the judge had made $35 in donations in July of 2020. Those donations, $15 went to the Biden campaign, $10 went to Progressive Turnout Project, and $10 went to Stop Republicans. Those are two voter turnout groups. And I spoke with a professor of legal ethics, and he says that the American Bar Association and the New York Code of Conduct could suggest that some of these donations are forbidden, but he said it comes nowhere close to grounds for recusal.
Immediately put a gag order at the behest of the prosecution on Trump. He did not put a gag order on any of the defendants who could say anything they wanted. We went through the trial, the back and forth. As many legal pundits said, where is this going? We don't see a charge here. They said the Stormy Daniels was a disaster. Michael Cohen lied and also admitted to embezzling money from Trump. They could not make the connection, but because you had a jury of Democrats. That's why they held it in Manhattan, to guarantee a conviction. And they got the conviction. The judge in this case should have been recused because his daughter was actually a Democrat activist who raised, speculating something like $93 million off of the Trump case for Democrats. But the man did not recuse himself. This whole thing is a setup. But what is the reality behind this? I want you to think outside the box for a minute. They obviously, all these trials they're bringing against Trump are to keep him off the ballot and or to damage his reputation so that he will not win the 2024 election. The Democrats cannot run on policy. They cannot run on policy. The border, inflation, gas price. Do I have to point this out to you? We deal with this every day. So what they're doing is they're using every dirty trick they can to get him. That's what this is about. But when I say this is also about the Constitution and the Second Amendment, is the fact that Supreme Court justices are coming up on their tenure. Think about it. Roberts and Clarence Thomas are both getting up in age. And if Trump wins, they will probably step down, which gives Trump the opportunity to put 30, 40 something Supreme Court judges in place. And that means that we'd have a majority conservative for 40, 50 years, potentially. That's what's scaring the Democrats. Because you hear the Democrats are out there literally trying to undermine the Supreme Court. The stupidity with a Alito and a flag.
Joining me now, Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas. She's a member of the House Oversight Committee. Congresswoman Crockett, welcome back to the Saturday show. You signed the letter calling for Justice Alito to recuse himself after news broke of the first flag.
Yeah.
Your reaction now that there's been a second flag?
Listen, we're not going to play with this. We know who Alito is. He's not trying to hide who he is. I mean, I know he tried to hide behind his wife during the first incident, but he has nothing to say about this second incident. You know, I had my little drama that happened in oversight. Unfortunately, what wasn't covered was that the court reform task force was rolled out the exact same week. And in that task force, we've got three major things that we're looking at. We're looking at, number one, term limits. No more than 18 years. We're also looking at expanding the court because we know right now that we literally cannot trust these folk. And the last thing that we're looking at is making sure that there's some actual ethics reform. So we have three bills that we're pushing forward with. We're trying to educate the rest of our colleagues on it, and we're trying to hopefully get some movement in the House, and then, you know, we just pray about the Senate.
Okay, so this gets to something that House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said this week. He said if the Supreme Court doesn't, quote, get its act under control, Congress should impose an ethics code.
And then also, you've heard him for years saying we need to stack the court. That's what this is all about. They're trying to damage the man's reputation to keep him from winning the presidency. Now, let's be clear. This trial has done nothing to the polls. From the beginning all the way through to the end, the poll numbers have not changed, and they will not change. But they're going to tout this in the media. Convicted felon. He's a convicted felon. He's a convicted felon. From trumped-up charges, no pun intended, from a bullshit verdict coming from left-wing activists who are pretending to be jurors. You're supposed to be biased as a juror. That's a bunch of crap. That didn't happen. So, how does this affect us as gun owners? Think about it. Biden wins because of this political persecution. 2 Supreme Court judges, like I said, Roberts and Thomas, are up there in age. Imagine they decide to step down due to medical issues, what it may be. Biden now replaces them. Look at all the assault weapons ban cases. Think about all the magazine capacity cases, carry rights, on and on, that are coming before the court, that are going through the system now, that will end up in this now off-balance Supreme Court. That's what this is about. Now, I'm not telling you who to vote for. It's not what I do. But you need to ask yourself, are things better now than they were 4 years ago? But let me know what you think. As always, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. And as always, any statements of violence or statements that lead to violence will be removed. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're notified the next time a video goes live. I'm going to see you on the next one. Peace.